Where's Val?
Ready? Okay. You're right.
Give me a okay. Give me a letter.
Give me an S.
Okay.
L-A-Y. Let's slay today.
Let's do it. Ooh, Dr. Renee is here. She just
All
popped in.
right, she ready.
She's
You've
like,
been waiting
I'm
for us,
ready.
huh, Dr. Renee? We ready for you too today. But let's do this off proper, like y'all.
Woo. Hello.
Hello.
Happy weekend.
Welcome,
It's
meeting
me.
goddesses.
It's
Hi.
It's Self-Love Saturday.
It is Self-Love Saturday, and I hope y'all ready to slay today. Glad you are here, Dr. Renee. Good morning, Queens. Yes, yes, yes. There's a few other people in the house, so I'm so excited to have you here today. Today we're talking about Unpretty. Y'all remember Unpretty? It was a song back in the day. TLC had a song about Unpretty, right? And I just thought it would be a good idea to expose some of the pretty ugly truths about systematic views about beauty, as we also just kind of share, what had our experiences and things that maybe we've had to overcome as a result of dealing with what I like to call OPBS, other people's BS about our beauty, right? So I want to talk about any and everything that comes up for you, not necessarily just a personal thing, but think of it more on a global scale. The whole pretty privilege thing, as I was looking at my own stuff, some of that came up as far as pretty privilege. And there's a poem that I wrote, it's been some years ago now, but it's called The Unpretty Plea. And so I'll share that with you today. So don't feel like we got to go deep and dark. I just want to tap into it so that we start to acknowledge our beauty, what beauty is for ourselves, right? So we're not playing that game with other people.
So we can have a little poetic justice.
That's right. It is whatever we say it is, not what anyone else says. Okay.
How are we going to do that? Because if Val was here, she would have a song, and I'm used to hearing a song about everything we talk about.
That is a song. That is the song.
Yeah, but nobody's sang it.
All I remember is damn unpretty.
What you say?
Grow your hair if it don't grow. Like I had to find the lyrics. Somebody got the lyrics though. Somebody out there.
No, actually, the title alone is unpretty.
Unpretty, right?
That's enough. It's like, how could you think of that? But when I first went to the South, the Jim Crow South, it was in 1967 because we were driving to Florida from New York, and we went right through it. And for the first time in my life, I heard this whole ugly pretty thing, because we just didn't come from that. Every child was made to feel like they were attractive, no matter how ugly they were. Mm-hmm. But they had this thing that a woman said to me that this little boy, he gets beaten a lot. Now they're brothers. They're both like bad little kids, right? But the other brother gets beaten a lot because he ugly. So the handsome looking one, based on their standards, this was for boys and not girls, but the message is still there.
Still the same. And
so he got beaten a lot just because he was ugly. And the old woman said, if he was good looking, they wouldn't beat him like that. But true or not true, these things happen. So I still always, try to trace it back to the origin, but that's learned behavior. Somebody taught the ugly. But I had lived in the North and I had never heard anything like that. Some child getting,
beat just because they're ugly.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy.
It is.
We need healing, y'all. We need healing from
No,
that.
we need a lot of healing. But when I look at our people, because I love our color.
I
And when
do
I look at
too.
our people,
All
I
of them.
think we're so beautiful.
Yes.
You know, when I want to uplift myself, I look for videos on YouTube that just images. I don't need to hear sound, but just pictures of beautiful Black people. And they're
Yes.
all over the place. You don't have to look hard.
Mhm.
And compared to other people, you kind of have to squint your eyes. Maybe, I don't know. But for me, I just see the beauty when I see our people.
Yeah.
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 But our people don't see it. That's why
And
we have.
I want us to see our beauty, because I
Right.
see it too. I'm like, oh my God, when we come together, when we had those groups, the Belize Women Who Fawn,
God,
and
it's
we were all these different array of colors,
different
I'm like,
colors.
oh my God, we are so beautiful as a people. And we don't even recognize our own beauty because of what's been put upon us. But I'm like, come on, y'all. Let's start lifting and taking off the outside world's views of who we are, what we bring to the table. You know, you hear a lot of people like, "Ooh, why he with her?" or "Why she with him? He
You
ugly."
don't know.
You don't even know.
You don't know.
You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, huh?
Yes.
Well, this poem comes from a different perspective. This poem, for me, I thought I had done a lot of the work around letting go of some things from my past, right? And I was just in a place, and I was like, "Ugh, why that thing keep getting on me? What is that right now?" And what I realized is it was that sticker bush piece again. You know how how I always talk about the cockleburr? Is the cockleburr? That little bush, that little sticker bush, y'all.
Berber, yes.
Burr, yeah, them little things you walk by and they snatch you, they jump on your skin, and you try to pull it off, you get one off, and then you realize later on you still got them little pricklies in you. You're like, woo, that. I was having one of those moments. And as a way to release or get over it, I went to my poetry. I went to my writing again, because writing really is healing for me. So, Unpretty Plea. Touched by the hands of the teenage boy next door, erect from a child of about 3, maybe 4, rubs his private parts against her to explore. No one sees behind his closed door. He's trying to take pictures, this man. She doesn't know. Admiring her beauty, her skin, her eyes aglow. Her nakedness he seeks to capture as she yells, "No!" 7 silent cries of help. Please make him go. The visit she cherished and ran to on a whim. Drunkenness surrounds her. Now all she sees is grim. The thrill is long gone. Glasses filled to the brim. He's drunk, she's stuck. What the fuck? Damn, it's him. 8 to 10 brings about bigger and different things. Men admiring more than her God-given wings. Pretty girl, the men all sing. She wants to run and hide, but is paralyzed by the sting. They mean you no harm, your beauty abodes. In her mind, these are lies as her story unfolds. She fights to keep her innocence, but the world grabs hold. No trust. Where's her protection? She thought, I must be bold. She's 13 now, enjoying the dance of her youth. Here he comes again, looking to satisfy that sweet tooth. Making advances, taking chances, married and uncouth. Her virginity's gone. No one knows her broken-hearted truth. Now she's drunk at 14, no longer loving life or full of pride. He won't stop. She's dying. Silent screams won't subside. Protecting his daughters, her sisters, maybe so his secret she did hide. Under a mountain of pain, pom-poms, and a smile, at least she tried. On to high school she went, changed, but no one paid much attention. She somehow managed to muddle through her world of dissension, praying that her path of the past she would never have to mention. She made it. She's a woman now with children of her own. Some men still gawk and cool, but she's proud, married, and grown. Far from the past, oh yes, at last she's moved on. Her family, a few friends, and extra weight are her security. She protects her children vigilantly, determined to keep their purity. The hurt of the past is stifled for now, front and center her obscurity. Now in her 30s, no real worries. Well, just one. She's divorced. That secure yet obscure life was really something forced. She created a fantasy which became a lie, of course. Reality hits, she's alone. What to do? Get to source. For years, she asked her creator to please unpretty me, or at least let not my beauty be the only me people see. No judgment of appearance, but of character and integrity. Consumed with work, family, and still such insecurity. Something within stirred her heart. She was moved by the Spirit. She thought it was some sort of dream and couldn't fully hear it. I say unto you that you are the truth of the divine Spirit. It lives within you. Hear my command and begin to walk in it. In the source, she found the truth of who she really is. She grew in courage and strength. Yeah, baby, she's a whiz. She pulled the past to the present and handled all that biz. Now she's full of love and laughter, and all that matters already is. No more pleas of, oh God, please unpretty me. For she knows she's divinely created and is the epitome of source, exactly who she was created to be. No more pleas of unpretty me. So I wrote that out of my own hurt and pain and experiences, and realized that at the time it was just something that I hadn't fully, let go of all of the things that had happened in my past. And so today, when we're talking about unpretty, I want to talk about it from both aspects, right? Because there are women out there who people perceive you as pretty. And it's like, no, I don't even want that because of all the bullshit that comes along with it. Mm. So that's where that came from.
Glad you brought that up, Goddess, because it's the process of that realization doesn't happen in a vacuum. And there are many of us who, either with that experience or different degrees and levels of that same type of experience, just take it on and we don't seek therapy for it. We don't seek ceremony for it. We don't really talk it out with the right people, because
right.
When I'm working with women that says, well, I've talked about it, but it's who you talk to about it. Yeah. And in our whole descendancy culture, there's been more encouragement to suppress the information than even the evidence, like the babies, right? Mm-hmm. So there's been more effort and ripening that way of dealing with it, to just hide it, to put it away, it didn't happen, to gaslight it. Mm-hmm. And that's different than what you did. Something different. You took it head on. You gave it voice. You gave it sound. You gave it tangible form. Mm-hmm. And because you have to bring it out of that space back here in the moon, and make it solid, so that you can page through it, and make it lighter and make it lighter and make it lighter. One of the ways I know that, I was taught this, you haven't healed when you can't talk about it without feeling the pain. And I'll say it, the other way is like, when you can talk about it without reliving the pain, you've healed.
Yeah.
You're healing when you can stop yourself, when you can catch it. And that's why I know that it looks really, really bad. But when women start sharing with me something that happened, I always say, how long ago did that happen? Oh, that was 20 years ago. So stop it right now. Right now. That's where we need to work, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tracy. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it took me some years even to not cry while I was reading that. Right. And I'm like, wow, I didn't have none of that stuff came up here and all in my throat and all of that. But you're right, because I've dealt with it and just kind of had to bring it out. And I so want that for our people.
Yes.
But we do tend to suppress and hide. And, we've talked about it before, there's this big pile of shit in the middle of the floor, that we're walking around it like and using it as a coffee table, acting like we don't see what's going on, or we don't know.
But
So we
we're
could,
the ones participating in blocking the healing. I mean,
yes,
that's being made clear even right now.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
by valuing those habits that they've given us, so that we can remain stupid and malleable
and
and yes.
stifled and stuck in
And
the
so I
shit.
feel like
Yeah.
that has to be recalibrated right there.
Yeah. Not even you don't see, you don't smell it. Because a lot of times you've gone through it, and then, but that's, for some of us, that's a way of coping, right? That disassociative state, because sometimes that's what you do just to survive that experience. But I'm grateful you even have the ability to express it, have an outlet to express it, then to share it verbally. And sometimes I'm even more grateful that we have that oral tradition of sharing it with yourself and knowing this is it. But then to have a circle of sisters, or to have a person you can go to and say, this is what happened. Or to share it again and again, to be able to then say it without falling apart. But knowing falling apart is part of that journey too.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we again, it goes back to that strong thing where you're like, ooh, I gotta keep it together. And I'm like, no, let's just go apart.
Yeah, what
And then
for?
you
So
can
that
build up again.
people can be fooled into thinking that you don't need help.
Right.
Yeah. Fall
So
apart.
that you can fool yourself into thinking that you don't need help. Stop
Not
it. We
even.
have to stop that. And I'm glad you brought that up, Marie, because I think there are a lot of people who have used that as a way to cope with, as a way to survive. But survival mode doesn't mean that that's not healing. You haven't healed from it. It's still there under the surface. It's still impacting your life in some way, shape, or form. So it's important to kind of get at it. I'm sorry, Val, what were you going to say?
No, just that it is important to give voice to what has hurt you, so it can be dealt with. And when you wrote that, Tracy, what was going through your mind?
Oh, I shared right before you came on, Val, that I was in this space where I thought I had done all the work. I went and I did grief recovery, and I did this and I did that, and I had been working on it. And I gave the example of that little sticker bush, the little cocklebur, where the little you walk by and the whole thing get caught on you and you snatch that piece off, but you still have the little pricklies in there. I was in a little prickly moment where the pricklies were still there, right? And so I'm still pulling out the little pricklies, and I was just going through something. And a friend just was like, you know what, maybe you should write. I was like, you're right, I gotta go write. I'll call you later. And we got off the phone. And that's what the poem is what came out.
Did it feel very healing to write
Absolutely.
in a poem? That's different.
Writing in any form can be a form of healing. Okay. We just have to do it. The journaling, whether it comes out as poetry, whatever it is, a lot of that stuff we have to bring to the surface, right? Even if you're not in a space where you're ready to talk to someone else, definitely get into the practice or habit, as Marie likes to say, of just starting to write things down.
Writing.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mount Spirit.
Well, a couple of things I wanted to say. Let's see which one is more important. Writing is a release of, or a feeding of the color blue to the light body, because it's a release of the fifth chakra. It's a release of your fifth spiritual center, which is blue. So when that's blocked, like when you're not writing or expressing it some kind of way, even if you're singing it or letting it out from here, it gets blocked. So all of your psychic senses, your ability to sense the truth, to speak the truth, all of those things get hindered. So when we write, that's why writing is so magical. That's why these writing courses are so magical, because they feed your light body blue. So now you can heal all of the imbalances from around here.
Yeah. The healing I've felt with my my screenplay. My parents didn't know I was interviewing them for my screenplay. That's pretty much how that worked. I wanted to find out. There was one fight that they had that I remembered, and I literally based the entire screenplay on that fight. I witnessed it at like 6 or 7 years old, and just kind of that getting over. I dealt with kind of that abandonment that I felt from my dad leaving the family. Now a lot of that came up, unfortunately, when he passed, because uh, his wife, the one he married was the one that broke up the marriage, which is weird. And he was Catholic. In the Catholic religion, if you divorce, it's something crazy where they don't acknowledge your second wife or something like that. So the obituary was written where I came out like a bastard child, and the only person that he married was my stepmother, and I was like, I felt the pricklies. All of that came up. I was like, I thought I had healed from that from writing a screenplay about this and was trying to sell it. And then I had to go back and deal with that. And I definitely dealt with that in grief recovery when I did outlining things how I felt about my father. But it is imperative that we find healing from what hurts us, what makes us feel unpretty, because abandonment can make a daughter feel unpretty.
Very good.
Yep, those wounds come up. I mean, I think both mother. Go ahead before.
No, go ahead, because I was going to comment on something else that you said.
Say it.
Oh, well, it has to do with the coping mechanisms, the coping tools. So I'm sorry, I don't remember the term now. Senior moment.
That's it.
Coping mechanisms. So my old Japanese teacher used to was a lesson that she gave me about a coping mechanism. It's like a vessel that you use, like you're in an island and where you're trying to go is another island. So to get off this island, you need a ship or a boat. So you build it and you get across and you land on the other side.
Okay.
Why do you still need a ship? Like, why are you even referring to it? Like, why is it an issue? If the whole idea was to get off, to leave suffering, and you have finally landed on this new island, keeping that ship is representative that there's something about that we're not fully accepting of being on the new path, the new island. So for that reason, I don't excuse coping mechanisms. And it's not a mean thing. It's like not something that I would hold as a reason for doing something, because we all do it. All of us. That's the only way we got here. Everything we did that didn't work was a coping mechanism, but now we're across. So it has to do, I think, with recognizing, are we really across? If we believe we're across, we can let that ship go. Right? So that was it.
Yeah. Even in that moment, that's what I'm thinking. I still had the ship because I hadn't fully come across. I had done some of the work. I'd done a lot of the work, but there was still it was like that last little piece. I tell people it's like an invisible wall, and you trying to hit it, and it's like, oh man, I got all these pieces, but it's one I ain't hit yet, but I can't see it. And then all of a sudden it was like front and center. Okay, bow, gotta get.
And that ship takes energy. It blocks your fortune. It blocks your consciousness, your creativity, because it's too much work. So it feels great to get rid of it. Well, Marie, that's what we talk about, right? That's what takes courage.
Yes,
it does. No, you're holding on. I mean, I think this is where you have to know it's a process and it's a journey.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're going forward, you're going back, you're going forward. And sometimes it does feel like a little bit of double dutch. And you have to be aware of that it's not going to be. A lot of time people think it's this linear process. Like it's a straight line. I'm just going to go through it. And then you check it off the list and I'm done, right? No. And not being willing to know that. And then sometimes you just get stuck in a spot. You're just going to be in a place.
It happens.
You can't move. And it's something else must happen for you to propel you forward. Yeah. And knowing this is the thing. And that's why being in a community,
that's it.
It's so great. And being around others, hearing those stories and being willing to sort of say, oh, that's how she did it. Or that's the thing. And then you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to do a little something for that to happen. But those wounds, sometimes they stay open. Yeah. Whether it's the mother wound, whether it's the father wound, or whether it's the daddy issues or the mother, whatever. And we hold on to them because in a way, even when they're not here, we're still looking for validation. So in a way, we're still that little girl. In a way, we haven't even healed or let go of that inner child that's still looking, and we haven't grown from that. So we think we're grown because we're doing grown things, and we're still that little girl who needs to be reparented, and we need to reparent ourselves. But we're looking for them to do all that, and I'm like, they don't know any better. They didn't know any better then.
Yeah.
And
No,
they
I
still
think put that inner child in inner daycare. And everybody I work with, I tell them the same thing. You put that inner child in a daycare, because I want to work with the adult you. I'm not interested in your inner outer. No. If there's an inner child, there's an inner daycare.
Okay.
Because BCW got laws against that.
What is Mountain Spirit? What does it look like for the adult? Put the kid in the daycare. What does that look like?
Actually, there's a visual that there's a shamanic work that we do with that, is where you take your inner child. Yes, you do it right up until where the white people take you, because they want you to manifest this child and relate to it. We go past it.
Okay.
We go past it. And by white, that's not a racist term. That's to differentiate from the Western and the indigenous. Okay. So they, what the hell was I saying? You visualize your child, you bring it, give it materiality, and then you start shrinking it until it's the size that you can put in your medicine pouch, or in the Western world, in your pocket, either your breast pocket, your side pocket, not on your purse, but on your person. And that's where that's your inner daycare. You keep that bitch right in there, because I'm not abusing a child, because that child has been around as long as you have.
Yeah.
And as long as it's ruling, it cannot grow. It has to understand it's a child. You belong right here. You watch what I do, okay? And I'm going to show you what your place is. So that's the inner daycare.
And it's learned. You can learn that. And I think that's where guidance comes in. And that's why having someone who can say, this is what it needs to be. And again, a lot of those things, you know what you know. We did not know any better. And so having someone who can guide you, having a healer, having a coach, having a counselor, and be willing to have that. Sometimes, again, this is what we think, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
By myself. And with the hurt, with the whatever, and things are coming up. You're being triggered. You don't know why. You don't know what this means. And everything is coming up. And having someone who can say, that's what that means.
Yeah.
And be able to process it and reflect on it and be able to sit with it. Because sometimes we just want to fix it. You don't need to fix it. Like, sit with it and have somebody say, you know what? Why don't we just process this part? And then just a little bit at a time. But we just want to rush through it and run through and be able to fix stuff, right? This is something that has happened through your lifetime. And now you just want to rush through the process. And I think having someone who can gently, literally, the way like the midlife does, or the way the healer can do that gently, where someone is not judging you and making you feel like you should have known. How was I going to know this situation, right? And so this is where you take the time and say how, and asking the questions too. This is where, again, finding the answers is not even the most important thing. Asking the questions, giving yourself grace, and taking the time for you to say, I am worthy of not figuring this out, discovering me, rediscovering those pieces of me that were hurt, and I'm worth healing, and we're finding ways for me to be joyful, to be happy, to be playful, to not be in this space where I'm always hurting.
Yeah.
And you can be that as an adult, right?
Right.
You can't grow if you're still in pain. I feel that is the number one thing that we have to recognize. And I said in the chat, there's no rushing in the healing. But we got to take time with that. And it's okay if it takes time, because I think we're so, some of us are kind of that A personality, and we go out and we conquer everything, and we do. And it's
got your checklist, trying to check them all
checklist.
off.
The deadline, the expiration date, by when?
No,
Yeah.
there's no rushing in that. And that's an excellent point, Marie, just to sit with what it is and to really deal with it. And I'm grateful that I know that if I am hurting, that it is blocking things. And Mountain Spirit, that was a great point about we could be blocking. You could put a name to it, our fortune, our crossing over anything, because we haven't dealt with what has hurt us, what has made us feel unpretty.
The ship. You know, you can't. The lesson here for me is you cannot force ripen the spirit.
Ah.
And we keep going back to that. We
Yeah.
keep going back to that. You can't force ripen the spirit.
Force it. Sometimes you just have to burn that ship down too. Just
Right.
burn it down.
Yep.
Burn it down. That I mean, that's probably like there's a saying around that too. This is like a very either some kind of Caribbean something. Sometimes I don't know the references to those things, but it's not literally that. But it's just anyone who's listening, they're like, ooh. But it's those things where you have to do symbolically, where you may have to do something to
ceremonialize.
Absolutely.
Because, and again, this is what you were saying. There are rituals that needs to happen for you to release those things, or they're gonna keep coming back up. And this is when you think I've dealt with it, and you have not. And just because you're saying things or it sounds great, and we live in a culture where we do so much lip service about healing and mental health and self-care and self-love. We're saying all kind of good stuff, but we refuse to practice it. We refuse to apply it. We refuse to live it. And we have to do the work collectively, and we have to invest in it. But because we're talking about it so much, and
we think that that's the thing. We think that that's it.
Or read all the books.
We read the books. We did, yes,
video,
exactly.
Took the workshop.
Exactly.
Like, no,
and so I'm like, okay, right. Even in our own community, I'm like, okay, y'all, it's time to go deeper. It's time for us to take that next step. What we've done is right here. We got to go deeper, and then we got to, to live higher, to live on a different vibrational plane. We got to go. You got to go deeper. You got to learn to release and overcome what needs to be released and overcome those things that are still ailing you. So when I say that, you got to release and overcome anything that ails you, is still bothering you. That's some going deep stuff. Some of that stuff you got to go deep and move out of the way. And then you got to create and keep what sustains you. Right. But we got to realize that, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going through the motions. And when we come to Clubhouse, it sounds good. And everybody is like vibing high, and we are sharing our love and our gratitude and all of that. And that's wonderful. But there's so much underlying work that still has to be done. Has to be done.
And we can do that together.
We can.
Not by yourself.
We can. We can do it through writing and healing. We're out of time, but next week we are going to start talking about the Right Now weekend retreats, because, man, they are on the horizon. We've got one coming up April 29th through May 2nd. And I wasn't even expecting to start talking about it now, but since we brought up how healing writing is, oh my gosh, it's all inclusive too. Just so you know, it's all inclusive. It's right here in Vegas. So we're going to get to party. We're going to get to play. We're going to get to heal. It's going to be some crying. It's going to be some laughing. But we're going to collectively write an anthology of her healing, evolution, and rebirth. It can be an anthology of her and whatever collectively that thing is that we decide we want to write when we get together. I'm telling y'all, this is such a powerful now. It's a powerful now. Right. So get to Vegas. I'll be sharing more information in the description. You'll have a link, everything. It'll be there. So over the weekend, I'm posting everything. But I had to start here in my own community, sharing here, because I want us to do our own healing, to write our own book. And we're gonna become best-selling authors together. Yes. Isn't that an exciting thing? Yes.
Very exciting. And step one is to connect with Tracy. Sometimes people are like, what Tracy?
Huh?
Tracy. What do I do?
Tracy. Huh?
What do I Tracy? All the questions. One source, Tracy.
Right. You keep pointing them my way. I'm waiting for the phone calls. I got phone calls, email, Trey@slaywithtrey.com. Yes, come on over. You send me an email. Many of you have my phone number already now. Come on, stop it. Or you have access to someone who will give it to you. All right. So thank you all for sharing today. Thank you to those of you who are in the chat. Come on over to the club. We are heading over to Clubhouse for Me Moments Part 2, where we get together, we share our gratitude, intention, affirmation of the day. We'll continue a little bit of this conversation and just enjoy each other's company this morning. For everyone else, go out and slay your day. It is Self-Love Saturday. Do something amazing for you. All right. Much love to you all. See you back here next week. Bye.